Plaintiff Cheryl Burns is married to the defendant's father, and she claims after CPS investigated domestic violence at the defendant's home, her children were taken away. Cheryl's suing her today for eviction fees. Defendant Carly Norvell says she and Cheryl have never gotten along. And after she drove Carly's sister away, Carly and her father had to have a relationship behind Cheryl's back. Carly insists Cheryl is responsible for the eviction fees.
Start with you.
Okay, Carly is my husband's daughter. We've been married since 2009. Throughout the last 10 years, I have tried to have a relationship with Carly due to the grandchildren. When I met her, she had a 6-month-old. Today, she has 3 children. The 6-month-old is now 10. Okay. Over the years, we have had some really good parts of in our relationship, and then there's times that she gets very angry at me and will cuss me out and call me everything.
How often does that happen?
More often than I would ever
More
like.
than once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year?
Several times a year.
Okay.
In 2016, we got a call from CPS stating that her children were being removed due to domestic violence. Apparently they did a surprise visit, and the gentleman that beat her up was in the apartment, and they took the children. She had 2 at the time, so we did take the 2 girls for 6 weeks.
Was she able to regain custody?
It took her over a year to regain the custody.
And she was the victim, as far as you know?
Yes, the boyfriend is now husband. So,
why don't you give me some background on some of this?
We've never got along. I went years without talking to my dad.
Why? Well,
because she's very controlling and she's very jealous. She's already run my sister out of his life, and me and my dad have to have a relationship behind her back. I just spoke to my dad a month ago. I'm sure she...
Shh, don't get him in trouble.
I don't care.
You know he's not allowed to speak to his daughters?
No, he's not. I don't want nothing else to do with him nor her, so it's fine.
And what would the arguments be about?
It seems so petty. The last argument we got into, she sent my daughter home with puke in her hair, knowing my pipes were frozen. I didn't have no water. They said that my daughter was trying to hide her puke.
Why do you think she would do that, ma'am?
She's crazy.
All right, good enough. Anything else you want me to know? What about the removal of your children?
My husband, he's been to prison for domestic violence twice now.
Against you?
Yes. One of the stipulations was my husband wasn't allowed around my kids, and they showed up at my apartment, and he was there. And
Okay.
they removed my kids.
All right.
So I will take.
How long after his first removal did you allow him to return?
He was in prison for 18 months. So.
Okay. And then return immediately back to the house?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened after he did his time?
Nope. We have a 19-month-old son now.
All right.
And
good. All right. Tell me about the eviction you're suing for.
I am suing Carly because of this, her wanting to try to turn her life around because she's going to do everything right now. She used to be a licensed state certified nursing assistant, but she's kind of been blackballed. She's either quit her job, she walks out on a job, or she doesn't show up. I have many text messages, and I actually do have 2 with me. Once we got this apartment, I co-signed for an apartment. We had a promissory.
You all getting along that month?
No, and I have a promissory note that they
signed
signed.
for her and her
I
children?
co-signed, and this was a promissory note her and the now husband agreed to.
that's not notarized.
It's all signed.
Doesn't have to be.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't have to be.
That's right. Watch your
Go
court
ahead.
case.
Tell me how everything
So
went.
she was supposed to have a job. They were supposed to get jobs and take over. The rent, they paid the water occasionally, but they decided after 5 months of me paying the full rent, I told her there was no more. I stopped in March. She told me she had April's rent, and next thing I know, they're down in Florida on the rent money.
They went
No,
to
we
Disney
went with our
World.
income tax.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's really
Told you what
funny.
people do with their income tax. She
She doesn't
owes
pay
you money. Did
taxes.
she tell you
Yes.
she was
No,
going
she
to
also
pay you
told
with
me-
her?
No,
Did she tell you?
She told
Okay.
me she hasn't paid
Yeah,
taxes
that's
in
what
3
people
years.
do with their income
So,
tax. They go
she has
on
no
vacation while they
address.
owe people money.
Yeah, no, she told me she doesn't pay taxes because
All
she's
right.
homeless. No,
Let me see.
and I have a promissory note that they
Co-signed
signed.
for her And her
I
children?
co-signed, and this was a promissory note. Her and the now husband agreed to.
That's not notarized.
It's all signed.
Doesn't have to be.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't have to be.
That's right. Watch your court case.
Plaintiff Cheryl Burns is married to the defendant's father, and she claims the defendant lost custody of her children for a year due to domestic violence in the home.
And ma'am, what do you say about failure to pay the rent and the eviction?
She agreed to pay the rent for 6 months.
No, I did not.
And we got in an argument because the weekend that my kids went to their dad's house, I was supposed to call her when my kids came back.
For Christmas.
And I didn't call the day that I was supposed to, and she got mad, and she stopped paying the rent.
So anyways, they got evicted, and I got sued by an
Ma'am, this
attorney.
contract you drafted is a tough one for me to grant you a judgment on. So one of the things that stands out is you don't list an amount. You just
At
say,
that time, there was 2 apartments. She didn't know which one she wanted.
okay, but
So
in order
that
to
wasn't on there.
enforce something, I
Okay.
need to know the amount.
I have that
Unless she's going to
paperwork.
agree, and already she's saying
Right.
there was no agreement for her to pay for the months that she lived there, that you agreed to
Would
pay.
you like to see the
Ma'am,
text?
please let me talk,
Okay.
because I'm about to point
I'm
to
sorry.
something else that really, really hurts your case.
Okay.
You say here that
listening.
you will pay.
I said
We
I
will
would
assist
pay till
in payment of rent
until
on
they
this
got
home.
their jobs. If it says their
If
jobs.
there's a
on it like
breach,
that.
the above name will be held accountable.
There was 2 apartments. She picked the $700 and the $740
Okay. But
And
you
the
don't
other
say
one.
how much you're going
Right.
to have her pay.
because we didn't know which one she was picking.
So how are you able to pick a number?
because
Because the number should have been on here.
it should have been, but we must have.
How much do you feel you owe, ma'am?
I honestly don't feel like I owe anything.
It's trashed. Of course not.
Why?
Well, because she didn't hold up to
The
her.
agreement says she would help with the rent,
Right,
not
right.
pay at all. You got somebody you
I-
argue with all the time,
I know.
who calls you all type of names,
She does.
and you co-sign for her and
Mistake.
think you were going to get a good result?
Yeah.
All right, you see what you get.
That's why I have a witness here, because he assured me he co-signed for her once before, and she did not.
And he
do what
told you he would pay,
he
stand in and
said
pay?
he understood. He wanted me to help her because he could not co-sign.
Listen,
because
I
of
have-
her-
Because what?
because of his credit.
She ruined his credit.
No,
No, he ruined his own.
ruined his own. I'm just saying he couldn't co-sign.
So neither
because
one of
his
them had credit.
Correct, and they still don't. Yes.
And did he guarantee at least that I'll make sure my daughter pays, or if my daughter doesn't pay, I will pay? Did you ever mention that to him? He has his hand up. Stand on up. That's what we need to hear from, Dad.
Yes.
State your name.
Patrick Curtis.
Okay, and your wife says that she co-signed for your daughter, unrelated to her, no blood relative, because you couldn't. What do you say to that?
I think what she's trying to say, Your Honor, is that years ago I co-signed for Carly for an apartment, and Carly did me good on that apartment. And I think that's where we were led to believe that Carly was going to do us good because she promised that she would.
Got it. You said you'll help with the rent.
I have the lease if you want to see what she signed.
Yes.
Okay.
Please. Now that helps, but
Yeah,
you've
they
already
handed
said
me
you'd
the whole
help
thing.
her. How long did you stay there?
We
How
until
long did they stay there? She doesn't know.
5 months. She was
All
supposed to
right.
pay
5
April.
months and paid how much?
She paid nothing.
Zero?
yeah, but
All
she-
right. She breached the contract that says she would pay a share and you were just to help.
And the reason
so
for
if she
this-
paid you zero, that means she breached. And when you breach, you're liable for the damages. And the damages are $3,491. Judgment for the plaintiff. Good day.
Thank you. I'm done. There is no relationship.
I've been done.
She took enough money from me.
It's okay. Go ahead and ask
And
my
then
dad
she
about
lies.
those emails.
I have them all.
I just like to say it's sad to have to come this way, but obviously there's still a lot of hate. So I just think it's done.